In this demo, we will look at workflow orchestration with Airflow and how it's possible to integrate it to Slack. You've just finished writing a data job that checks if two files have arrived, merges them, and then sends a notification afterwards. You will eventually want to schedule this job to run according to a predefined schedule, say once a day every day. That's not too hard. We'll write a cron job. Now once a month you want to merge everything into one report. No problem, another cron job. Then you want to use this data to analyze and make predictions. You build more pipelines and more cron jobs until you totally lose oversight of your scheduling. It becomes hard to maintain and difficult to work with, and managing these workflows is taking time from actual development. Luckily, there is a tool for you to use. Airflow is an open source workflow orchestration tool that allows you to programmatically author, schedule, and monitor workflows. The workflows are written in Python as directed acyclic graphs, or DAGs, where a task will represent a node in the DAG and the relationship between the nodes are explicitly defined. This will simplify the issues we had previously with the workflow management, and here is an example of how our DAG would look. One of the core concepts in Airflow are operators. Each task is defined in Python by an operator. Operators have a specific function. A Python operator executes Python code, a bash operator executes a bash command, HTTP operator can send requests, and so on. Here's an example of a bash operator that prints the current date on the command line. First, we have to start the Airflow server to get the GUI up and running. Next, we will start the scheduler that picks up the tasks and runs the workflows. Now we have the interface running on port 8080. You can see 3 examples of workflows. This is a closer look at our data job. You can see the DAG on each task. 2 tasks that check for files, 1 that merges them, and 1 that sends a notification. You can see information on your DAG in the UI, and you can also check the code behind it. You might have noticed how the last task is a Slack notification. We chose Slack to show an example of how easy it is to use Airflow to integrate with other apps using operators. Alerting is also a useful tool if you don't want to actively monitor large data jobs. Just get notified when they finish. To add an integration, you have to create a connection to a Slack webhook. You can do this through the UI, adding the connection to the Airflow database. You'll need to create a Slack app and make sure that you accept incoming webhooks. Now let's take a closer look at the code behind our DAG. You can see how it's written in Python. Here you can see the DAG definition. Then the tasks are defined using various operators. In this case, 2 file sensor operators that check if files have arrived in the resources folder. Next we see a Python operator that calls a Python function that merges these 2 files and outputs to the resources folder. It does so only after the files have been found. The last operator is a webhook operator for Slack. It fetches the connection we've set up and adds some parameters such as a Slack message. At the very end you will see how the relationships between the tasks are defined. We turn the workflow on. Then when we refresh the UI, we see the colors of the tasks change as they go from running to successful. We can then go into Slack and see our custom message. We can also see that the 2 files were merged successfully. Airflow's ease of use, scalability, and flexibility means it's a popular tool for automating workflow management. Google's Cloud Composer, for example, runs on Airflow under the hood. It integrates with external sources easily, as we saw with the Slack example. You can use it to run jobs in Spark clusters, fetch data from APIs, and for pretty much any function that needs to be orchestrated as workflows, making it a popular tool in the data world. The UI also means it's easy to monitor workflows and see their dependencies and follow up on service level agreements. By not having to worry about the overhead that comes with complex workflows, you can focus on the task at hand. So if you find yourself with hard to maintain workflows, it's probably already time to move over to Airflow to automate the workflow infrastructure and free up development time.